Okay, let's move on. So the next step is an action plan. And this is something that I have laid out in detail for myself for the year. I actually went a bit overboard. I have created a spreadsheet for myself, which is basically a business plan with easily probably 50 action items on it, because obviously I've still got other past books that have to be promoted in between writing new books, in between coaching, etc. You don't need to get that fancy. You might want to have a separate goal and a separate action plan for your day job, another one for your family and your personal life and spiritual life, another one for if you're writing. So I highly recommend do this for every aspect of your life. Write them out, put them where you can see them daily. Create a motivating, a goal that you can remind yourself that you're working towards. But now we're going to break it down. I said earlier, we needed that time deadline and the very specific word count, because now is where you're going to start doing some math. If you want to write a 60,000 word book or a 50,000 word book, let's say by end of June, then you are going to need to write X number of words per month in each month. So let's say you haven't even started your book and you want to be finished by June. If you want to write a 60K word book by June, then I've given you an example here. You're going to write 15,000 words per month. You're going to, over the next 3 months. Then hopefully spend May revising your manuscript, so that if you are going to send out to beta readers, whether that beta reader is a friend of yours, whether it's your coach, whether it's a freelance editor, whether it's a critique group that you've joined online on Facebook or somewhere, there's all sorts of ways to find beta readers. I'm not going to go into that in great detail now. And then do final revisions based on your beta readers' feedback in July, submit to agents in August. There is an action plan. You can break it down. You can be even more detailed if you want. It depends on how much of a pantser or a plotter you are. If you were, for example, wanting to submit to agents, then start researching agents. Find out what their submission guidelines are. Many of them only require the first 50 pages or first 3 chapters. So what you might want to do, and they take forever to get back to you. So you could work on polishing your first 50 pages or first 3 chapters, your query letter and your synopsis, send it out to agents. And then while you're waiting for them to come back to you, polish the rest of your novel. However you're going to work this, create yourself a definite action plan. I'll give you a few moments to think about this, but this is something that you may want to dedicate some time after the webinar to working through. Very specific, X number of words per month. Now, I'm going to just quickly do this on my cell phone because I don't have my calculator handy on my desk. But if you are writing 15,000 words per month, average of 4 weeks in a month, that's 3,750 words per week. Again, that's doable. It's a push for some people. If you are not writing at all at the moment and you're out of practice, that's going to be quite a hard push. Again, let's say you can only write 4 days a week. We divide that number by 4. You now have to write about 950 words per day, every day that you sit down. Every day that you cheat puts more pressure on you to then have to write at the end. This is why I say give yourself a bit of breathing room. Gwendolyn's asked an excellent question. What about all the work before you get to writing? Yes, we're going to talk about that in the next steps, the next few slides, but that's a very good question. And that is why I have specifically in my little example here not had writing in January, because hopefully if you haven't yet started your novel, January is going to be for all the prep work that you need to do before writing your novel. And then in February, hopefully you will know what to do. Now, there are plotters and there are pantsers. Pantsers are people who fly by the seat of their pants. They often don't really, they sort of wing it as they write. And plotters obviously tend to be very detailed in their plotting up front. I personally recommend something in between. I do not recommend you just jump right in and start writing if you have no clue, because guaranteed you're going to have this lovely momentum as you start writing, and you're going to hit 5,000 words And I did this over Christmas. I got all inspired and thought, oh, I'm going to start writing this story. And I got hit 5,000 words and it's just complete blank. Why? Because I hadn't really thought about the story beyond that. So we are shortly going to talk about some of the prep work that you should do up front. You don't have to plot it in detail. If you're not a plotter, I'm not going to force you to work in a way you're not comfortable. But I highly recommend, if you are a pantser, still, there are certain things you have to pay attention to and give some thought to before you actually start writing. Otherwise, you will write yourself into a corner or just land up against a brick wall. And then we call that brick wall writer's block, but really it just means you did not do the prep work. Okay, that exercise, I want you to keep, push it to one side for now. If you haven't yet finished an action plan, once this webinar is over, I want you to take some time and just plot out how many words you're going to write, when you're going to start writing, when your deadline is, what other things you need to do. If there's research you need to do, if there is research you need to do into agents, which agents are taking your kind of book, who's open for submissions, who's not, what do they require, what format do they require it in, etc. And sometimes agents move from one agency to another, so don't just rely on work you did a year ago. However, if you're only just starting your novel now, don't go and waste the next 3 weeks researching agents. You have to write the novel first.